Greetings, viewers, and welcome to another edition of the Slackers Symposium. We are excited to come to you today with all kinds of content, knowledge, and tips. I'm joined by the usual suspects. We've got one Slacker outstanding who's going to be joining us shortly. I know for a fact that the majority of the tens of you that watch the channel tune in so that you can see the Star Wars book report that I occasionally give. So I'm going to lead off with that. That way you can watch the book report, and then if you need to leave and do other things, you can. I know that a lot of you watch the entire video waiting for it. You know, if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, that my favorite Star Wars book is Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. It's a masterpiece. If you love Star Wars, this is the book for you. I'll quickly just say that not all of us are able to spend the time to read a 500-page book on the galaxy far, far away. So if you needed a picture book version, they have recently come out with Lost Stars, the graphic novel edition. So like I know Jar would never read Lost Stars, even though it's my favorite book and he's my best friend. Like, we can't bond over that.
Yeah.
But I know that I can share with him this 3-part graphic novel, and then we can share in that. So that's the Star Wars book review update for the week. Lost Stars, the 500-page novel, or for the Jars in the world, the Slackers in the world, you can do the picture book version. I've made it through volumes 1 and 2, and it sticks very well with the story, and it sparked a lot of joy. So that's the end of the book report. I know we probably lost 75% of the viewers now at this point because they got the content they wanted. Yeah. So that's 7 out of the 10 viewers that we have now departed. But
I was going to say, Jacro, if you can't make it through a 500-page book, you're not using your bathroom time correctly.
Thank you, Lens Reed. Yes, I wholeheartedly agree.
Thank you.
I've read a 400-page comic book before. Like, my attention span is all there, but I know we're not all there. So Disney recognizes that, and so you can now do it in picture form. For the 3 viewers that are still with us, I have some extremely exciting news. We have 2 very special guests who have joined us on the channel to give their insights into this world that we all love, that this channel is centered around, which is Run Disney. The first one I'm going to introduce has the most amazing radio voice. He's going to make the rest of us sound like amateurs. I'm not afraid of that. Y'all been watching the channel long enough to know we're all amateurs. What I'm worried about is he's going to steal the comic thunder from all of us. And that actually kind of scares me a little bit. He could probably spin off and create his own channel. His name's Matthew Kunkel. He's in the ATL, and he is here on the channel tonight.
Well, thank you very much. That would be very rude of me as a guest to try to steal thunder from the regulars, but I do appreciate the invite and the chance to put my radio voice to some work, I suppose. But no, that would not be very hospitable of me. And as we know, here in the South and in Georgia, we're all about our Southern hospitality. But I do appreciate the invite. I also thought I would mention that the Lost Stars also comes in audio format in just under 12 hours. So
yes, already bringing content.
Yeah. Ask me how I know, because the coloring book looked like fun, but no, I take mine with me on the run and walk.
Oh, J-Crow.
He's already checking all the boxes I just named off.
Yeah. And Matt Kunkel, it's okay because J-Crow's been trying to take over the channel for a long time. So
that's accurate.
That's
so
fine.
We all thought he was in charge anyway.
Thank you, Kunkel. I think I carry the show and I do none of the work, and that's how I like it. So
that's what we call talent in the biz.
Thank you.
But no, and while I appreciate the kind remarks, I'm a consumer. I'm a taker. I'm not a giver. So I don't see me being a YouTube content anything. I am the mass audiences. That's a very important role, and I'm happy to play that role. I take and I give nothing. But I'm here for you.
Can you tell the tens of viewers what your lovely spouse calls us?
What your lovely...
Maybe she calls us several things. Or what you call us. Okay, I'll just say it. I think it's funny that you refer to us as your imaginary friends.
Oh, yes. Yes. And the YouTube Run Disney Pantheon, yes. Yeah, you're talking to your imaginary friends tonight. That's lovely. Okay. Yeah. Which is fine, except for when she's like, why haven't you come to bed yet? You're talking to your imaginary friends. Now I'm just, jealous. And I'm like, no, I'm not talking to them. They recorded this weeks ago, but I'm sitting here watching it anyway.
Now, I don't know how we can afford this because we're on a shoestring budget here on the channel, and Jar pays for everything. But not only do we have one guest, we actually have two tonight. And our next guest that I want to introduce is a longtime viewer of the channel. She's contributed on at least one, if not multiple, symposiums. She has her own Instagram influencing going on. When I think of our next guest, and I think about if I were able to create a moment with this person that would live forever in my mind as a memory, I think of myself and I think of our next guest recreating the first scene of the original Indiana Jones movie, Raiders of the Lost Ark. If you know the movie I'm talking about and you know the scene I'm talking about, then you know who I'm talking about. It's Long Runs and Liquor, our friend Meredith. If I could be in Siberia going shot for shot with anybody until one of us goes under the table, it would be her. And so welcome tonight, Meredith. We're glad you're here. Long Runs and Liquor on Instagram.
Thank you so much for having me back. I have taken quite a brief vacation from the YouTube life. But I do appreciate the oxen spoon, even though we know that J. Crow's carries the weight here. I do appreciate y'all really keeping YouTube alive so that my ones of viewers can come back. And my ones of viewers being pretty much maybe only the people on the screen.
Yeah, I was going to say your YouTube channel sparks a lot of joy, and I would appreciate it if you brought more episodes to us, please.
Well, as soon as we can get down to the Disney place in 40 some odd days, coming back. I'm coming, fam. I just haven't been to the Disney place or trained at all. I've done nothing that is qualified of the YouTubes.
Same here, but we still figure out things to do. Like right now.
No,
so
it's creative.
To kick off the symposium tonight, we have the creator of the channel, the king of all media, the head slacker, Jar Oxen Spoon. We have M to the K, who's got a high bun going tonight. Look at that high bun. Yes. We have Lens and Spoon. Where you at, Lens?
Right here. You see me?
And we're waiting on the sibling. And so because Kunkel and Meredith are on the channel with us, that means we probably only have 8 people watching the channel tonight, but we're going to bring it regardless. I wasn't given any kind of agenda, so I'm going to kick it over to the head slacker, Jar, so he can get this thing going.
Okay, so what we're going to discuss tonight is something. Is it a myth? Is it something true? Is it something that has happened to you? That rhymed. Did not do that on purpose, but I like how things work out. But the runner's high, what is the runner's high? If you look it up in the Google, it says like it's a feeling of euphoria after like an intense workout or running. I don't know. I've never personally felt that because like when I'm doing something very intense in the running thing, I'm like, I need to stop doing this. So I want to see what is everyone's experience about the running high, because how all of us right here, with sibling included, all 7 of us are registered for Dopey. That's correct, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So can you think J. Crow and I were the ones that have completed 2 Dopies? I don't recall any time between the 100 or so miles we run that I'm like, wow, this must be the runner's high. So
Uncle did virtual, right? Didn't you do virtual, Dopey?
You did.
I did the virtual marathon.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well.
Mama did the full crazy, full on thing. But I did get to do that when I was down there in January. I had rented DVC points, so I had to go anyway. So I might as well run around like an idiot because that sounds like a good idea. But I will say, here in the South, like I mentioned, we're very proud of our Southern hospitality. So yeah, I mean, the runner's high is something we get a lot now. Generally, again with the dialected area, it's the runner's hey. So if you're going by, and you see somebody going the other way on the path, hey, runner. So that's our runner's hey, because we don't really say hi here. Now, of course, if you're running back, you do an out and back, you're doing loops, and somebody comes across your path for the second time. So by this point, you're kin. Or maybe you stood in line with them at the Piggly Wiggly. Either way, you're close now. Now, the second time, it would be more of a runner's, hey, y'all, how's your mom in there? Which, because that's how we do. I mean, and Long Runs of Liquor knows exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's more the runner's hey down here in Georgia, but I think that's a big part of the experience.
Now that you bring that up, we live in a neighborhood where people are friendly too. So even if they're in their truck driving by, they give us a little wave. It's a runner's wave. The runner's like nod of acknowledgement and other things like that. Just if there's other runners or walkers, they're just like, so we understand some of that too here.
I'm still getting used to that.
Race day, I usually get runners by because they're all going by me. So bye, runners. See ya.
I'm still getting used to the Texas hospitality because I still think of running as private suffering time, and it's more painful to me living here knowing that people are going to acknowledge my presence, and it's like I don't want to be seen. I think I have the runner's why. That's the question I ask. Why? Why am I doing this? Why? So yeah. I don't know. I'm trying. I'm growing. I'm learning and growing and being smiley back. We all know that's hard for me. But in my head, I'm thinking, why? Why am I doing this?
See, I think the Texas hospitality is anytime anybody brings beef. Isn't that just kind of the general Texas hospitality? You show up with beef and everybody's friends.
I
there's
think
brisket. There's love.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll say I have experienced the runners like high and definitely the runners by as people pass me by. But I have recently discovered the runners cry. The other day, as we were running I think it was 11 miles. Maybe it was one of the short, maybe it was one of the ones before 11. Maybe it was like 6. All I could think was my legs hurt. I really don't want to do this. And I just felt those, I kept calling them sweats, but I know that they were tears. So it was the runner's cry. And all I could think was, no, it was 7 miles. And I just kept thinking like, this is 7 miles. How am I supposed to run 41 more in a weekend? But it'll be fine. I'll also have runners cry then, and then probably the runners high and the runners by and all the runner things.
Does anyone know anyone who has had a runner's high, and what did that look like?
I've got a friend who He's really crazy. He's run a couple of Dopeys and Marine Corps, and he's a lot faster. He's what you would refer to as a real runner. Somewhere Coach HJ just twitched and she doesn't know why. But anyway, but he's one of those. And when I first started getting into it, I asked him, I said, I don't like running. I like me running, but I don't like running. And he, I'd get, things pop up on your watch. Oh yeah, he finished another, 10 miles. I'm still laying in bed. Ah, crap. And I would ask him, like, so what is it? I said, do you get this runner's high? Is that what drives you? And he said, no. I said, I really don't like running. He says, but I get a high from stopping. And I really, really like stopping. And so, you can stop at the end of the driveway. You don't have to go 10 miles to stop. But that, to him, that was his runner's high. That's when he got his Euphoria is in Alabama. His euphoria is by stopping. So maybe that's something. I don't know. That's something to look forward to anyway.
I can relate to that.
You stopping is pretty. It gets the endorphins going. Is that the right term to use? Endorphins? I don't know.
Science.
The clinical person, Jar.
The only time I've ever experienced euphoria whilst running was when I stopped at a bar or a drink stand. And that really speaks to the content of my channel.
Mm-hmm.
Was, when I stop at a place that can provide carbs or alcohol.
Did you do that during Peachtree?
I showed it every single, and it wasn't just every single bar. It was every single gas station, every single stop. I don't think I ever had an empty tall boy in my hand from start to finish.
You got to hydrate.
Yeah. It's all about the
absolutely.
And for those longer distances, like a 10K, especially for the Peachtree, you have to make sure that you have all of the things that you're going to need to succeed.
I mean, if you're doing a long run, you got to live up to your namesake.
Did you?
Conversely, if you're ever drinking, that probably means you should be doing a long run.
Right. Clearly.
Did you PR in time?
No, but I PR'd in fun and drunkenness.
We're not selling those shirts on our give.spoon.com.
PR in fun
on your store.
And etc.
J. Crow, I saw you raise your hand when I asked if anyone knew anyone who'd had a runner's high.
Well, yeah, I wanted to make two comments. The first was I did grow up in the Southeast, North Florida, but I went to college in New England. And when the J. Crows goes to college, he stays there for a long amount of time, not 4 years. That's rookie stuff, right? Why would you stay in college 4 years when it's that fun? So I stayed in college a long time. I ended up in New England and Vermont specifically. Vermont's a very rural place with some hardy people. You got to be a hardy person to survive in those harsh conditions, rural area. And so I got in the habit of not really acknowledging others. That's a thing in New England that people think New Englanders are rude. They're not rude. There's an acknowledgement. It's just not acknowledgement like Kunkel described of a wave or a hey. It's just like eye contact is enough, right? Like you're there, I'm here. I don't have to go through any kind of motions with you. And so I lived in that environment for a long time and kind of got in that habit. And then I moved to Texas, right? And I'm new here. I don't know anybody, and I don't know anyone who doesn't have my same last name, right? And so one day I decided I'm going to drive out to this little community south of town. I've heard some things about it. I'm going to drive down there. So I'm driving, and it's here in Texas, we drive fast. We have these 2-lane highways with no divider, yet we drive 75 miles an hour. It's very disturbing at first. Once you get used to it, you're like, I'm used to it. But to drive that fast with oncoming traffic that close to you. So 75 miles an hour, I'm driving in my Subaru with Vermont license plates. They're looking at me like I'm a foreigner, but people are coming towards me and they wave like Jar indicated. You get the runner's wave. And so I'm this big F-250 truck. In my experience, you wouldn't have a truck like that unless you worked on a construction site. But this is like a soccer mom, right? Driving an F-250. So this F-250 comes towards me. I'm coming. She gives me the wave. So what do? I pull over. Obviously, something's wrong with my car, right? Like I left something on the roof. Like I have a flat tire. There's something caught in my bumper. Why would this person wave to me? I get out, check my car. It looks fine to me. I get back heading south. And then the next big truck that passes me does the exact same thing. Well, now I know I have a problem, right? Two people have flagged me down that I have a hazard. It took a couple of these instances for me to realize they were saying hello at 70 miles per hour in the opposite direction to a complete stranger. And that's when I knew I was in a much different place. Now I say hi to everyone. I wave at everyone. You can talk to my friends at the hospital. I know everyone and talk to everyone. And that's just the Southern way. But I digress. On the runner's high, I'll say that when I do a Run Disney race, I don't achieve the runner's high because I achieve a level of annoyance before I reach euphoria. Right? Because we all know all those runners around us. It's a lot. It's chaotic. It's noise. It's people passing you. And then walking, right? The run walk people. No offense, run walk people, but you run past us and then you walk in front of me and then you run past me and then you walk in front of me. So I reach this level of annoyance before I reach a level of euphoria. However, when I run on my own, there have been moments where I hit that sweet spot, right? It's like when you're a baseball player and you just have that one time you hit the ball perfectly and the ball and the bat connect in a way that doesn't wring your hands. You don't even really feel it. You just swing through that sweet spot. And I think I've reached that a handful of times on longer runs, but it requires so many things to go right? It requires the weather to be right, the environment to be right, your body to feel right. And so I think that runner high is achievable. And I think it should be cherished. And it's kind of like those euphoric moments we've all had in other venues, whether it's me at fish shows or a worship service, or those times when you make a great presentation at work, or whatever it is, when you just feel that moment where everything swings through the ball and you don't even feel contact. And I think it should be cherished. I think it should be searched out. And I think all of us should continue to strive towards it.
I think HJ is watching this and crying right now. I'm pretty sure she's crying. You're going to be on her podcast now, J. Crow.
Well, I went and saw her in person, and I did make the Instagram channel or the Instagram page, which I'm proud of. That's a crowning achievement for the J. Crows.
I have to say that's inspiring. I can remember many times, like you're talking about when you're playing baseball as a kid and you get that perfect swing, and everything works right for just that one moment. And like with running, usually that happened when I was sitting on the bench watching the kids swinging the bat. And so I had a great view of, that moment. I know exactly what you're talking about. It sounded great from where I was at. I mean, I had a paper cup in my hand and I was doing my thing. Much like in a race, I'm out there running. I got my paper cup and I look at those people go. They look like they're having a great time. So, it's running can be a spectator sport too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it usually happens to the people passing me. I'm like, man, they've got that runner's high going. And then I stop and take a walk break and adjust my shoes or my Bondi band or something like that. Like,
and you're irritating the person you just passed that you started walking in front of. At least that's what I hear.
Yeah, usually there's no one behind me or in front of me. And it's just like, do I turn here or what? How well is this course marked?
I mean, maybe that's why I haven't felt the runner's high, is because really I'm just paying to be an encore spectator.
Maybe the last race I did, I didn't feel the runner's high because I didn't run for the last 7 miles. Maybe that's what happened.
MK, did you feel the runner's high in our last race? Link above.
I did not feel a runner's high. I'm gonna go to a different place now. The opposite of a runner's high. I was at the runner's low. It was a very defeated feeling. I was uncomfortable. I was unhappy. I was hungry. I was thirsty. I was soaking wet from the sweat and from dumping water on my head to try to cool down. I haven't experienced a runner's high before. I think I've had relief crossing the finish line. It's like, oh, that's over. I can stop now. But I've never gotten the culmination of the perfect conditions, feeling good weather. I've never experienced that. I hope someday to, but it's already been a few years and I haven't experienced it yet. So I don't know if it's going to happen or not.
So I think the MK brings up a really good point of what running specifically for me, and I think for others, can do to a person. I feel like I'm a very positive person, just from my core. I'm very fortunate that I am a positive person. I'm around negative people, and that they're just inherently negative people. I feel like I'm an inherently positive person, and I'm a very self-confident person. Running has brought out more negative self-talk in me than I think than I experience in normal life, right? Like and I've talked to Jar about this on numerous occasions, that I can descend into some serious negative internal self-talk during a 10-mile, 12-mile, 26-mile run that I would never experience in regular life.
Yeah, I gotta say that's interesting, because I almost feel like, one more reason to think I'm doing this wrong, but I think I'm kind of the opposite. Or maybe it's because my expectations of myself are a lot lower, so that could play into it. It's hard to come down from there, but and the fact I've only been doing this for 5 years. It's starting to sound like a long time, 5-6 years, but no, I would say I'm probably am the opposite. I try to be a generally pretty positive person in life, but usually I get out there running, and it's one of those moments where I look around like, can you believe you're doing this? This is ridiculous. No, I'm not going fast. I'm not, Kipchoge's not looking over his shoulder at me, but it's one I just constantly, and again, maybe it's because I'm still more new to it, but I'm like, I'm really doing this again. This is incredible. I'm not any good at it, but who'd have thunk?
A lot of times I kind of descend into a lot of negative self-talk. Like when I'm at the gym on the treadmill, I'm like, they're faster than me. Why am I not going faster? Or at a race, I'm like, I already passed that person and now they're passing me. I'm like, why can't I run faster? Like, I'm tired. I need to be faster. I wish I were taller so my stride was longer and I didn't have to take as many steps. Constantly comparing yourself and your abilities with others, even though you have no idea, where they've been, what they're doing. They don't know what I'm doing or how long I've been running or if I've trained or not. But then there's other times where I will see these motivational memes and stuff on Instagram where one of them is like a slower runner or some other person is looking at you wishing they could do what you can do. And I'm like, that really puts it in perspective with me. Like, even as much as I tell myself I need to be faster, I need to work out more, I need to run more miles, there are people that wish that they could say, yeah, I just did a half this weekend. They're working towards it. They're trying really hard, and maybe they're struggling with their own self-talk. So I try to bring that back down and say, you know what? I'm doing all I can do, and I should be okay with that.
MK, if you ever want to reinforce that, like, I wonder if there are people looking at me wishing they could be like, do what I'm doing. You could just look at me. Usually I'm on your right or your left when we're running. And I wish I could. Yeah, I am right there. Instant gratification. Maybe in some universe, I'll be able to be as fit as you are fittest slacker.
MK, I would hire you right in a second as my own very own motivational speaker and positive self-talker that I could slip in my pocket and just pull it out any old time. Because my only time I ever really get the true runner's high is when I'm playing Red Rover during Princess Weekend, when everyone is linking arms. And I think Lynn's Rita talked about this, right? During, I believe it was like a slacker coaching series where you coach Jocks and Spoon link above about this, right? And so, yes, I get that runner's high when I have my own entourage because I do love my costumes and making a crew out of them. But when people are linking arms, I don't ever get the runner's high until I see people linking arms. So for those of you out there, the tens of viewers that link arms, just know that you feed my soul when you link those arms and give me something to run through. Because I'm not a fast runner, nor am I very powerful, but by God, I can break your little link, and I will. But
full contact road running. Okay.
Yes. I think we have a new dynamic to run Disney now, and that's Meredith just busting through.
Just busting through, and then usually busting my face, but neither here nor there. But really, MK, to your point about, what it means to be a runner or whatever. And I'm always looking, are people faster than me? Yes. But you know who I'm always faster than? The balloon ladies.
I thought you were going to say Jar.
We usually finish around the same amount of time. Let's be real. So, just making sure that, as long as you stay above the last person, but it doesn't matter. Like that does not matter because guess what? You are lapping everybody that is sitting at home on the couch and in the bed and sleeping late. That's what I tell myself every morning when I'm up at Rise and Grind 5:30.
That sounds
that I'm beating everybody on the couch, even if I'm very slow.
So I like to think that I'm beating the me that didn't go on that run. I'm beating me from yesterday, and that's no matter how slow you're going. You've always got that. I mean, talk about your so many pithy running mantras I know, but I've always thought the doing is the thing. Get out there and do it. That is the thing. And some days it's going to be faster, and some days it's going to be slower, and most of the days it's going to be slower. But you're still faster and a better person than the version of you that didn't get out there. I mean, I know what you mean about miserable race days. I know we're really being inspiring here. But I had an awful marathon in February, the Atlanta Marathon. It was just everything went wrong that day. But, and I should have pulled out of it. I mean, I was hurt and it was not going well. But still, because I don't have enough sense to do something that smart, every time I walk by that medal, I think, but I finished that and I'm still proud of that. And I'm still a little bit sore from that, but still, I'm better than the person that wouldn't have done that, and that's a better me,
I'm curious, Jar. I want to hear, first of all, if you've ever experienced a runner's high. Second of all, if you think your getting out there and running version is better than the not version, and if you could describe the two in detail, would be helpful.
The version of lying in bed and the version that's running right now? Or not right?
Which one is better?
Not running right now. An argument for either, which is better, because if you need sleep, then get your sleep. I heard some wise coach HJ say that rest is a weapon. So I will wield that weapon like a double-bladed lightsaber. But then, I'm gonna train like whatever I need to, whether that's sleeping or whether that's pounding the old pavement in my runners, other runners neighborhood. But as far as me experiencing a runner's high, probably the most excited I've ever been while running, and I think MK would totally agree with this, was in the 2019 marathon when I rode Expedition Everest. That's probably the extent of my runner's high, because like halfway in, 13 miles in, I think that was the most excited I've been on a run. I guess I was running then, but getting to that peak, going to see those little hair bands up there, and then just going backwards and all that, seeing Joe Rohde's creation. There it is. That's my runner's high. Probably high in elevation also.
Hey, Jar.
Yes.
For those of us who have never had this experience of running the marathon with Expedition Everest, do you think that I'll get that same level of excitement and high that you did riding the Everest as I will getting to ride the Triceratops spin?
Lee, I think so, because Triceratops spin is a ride that you have your own choice. Do you want to fly low or do you want to fly high? And you can get that runner's high by just pushing that lever up. And just seeing whatever when you're spinning across Dino Land, you just put your hand over your heart and look at the remains of what was Primeval Hurl, and then just look at all the games there. And
terrible.
Yeah, I think they should tear down those construction walls and open Primeval Hurl
don't do it.
Just because Everest is supposedly going to be on hiatus for 3 months. So,
and here I was all prepared to deal with the Yeti, and all for naught.
I know. You just have to deal with the Arctic or the igloo or any of those other things.
Two important comments that I feel need to be made. The first comment would be that a lot of us wake up on race day with a time goal. A lot of us just want to get to the finish line. I know for a fact the first time that Jar and I did Dopey, his only goal for that weekend was to ride Everest. I know for a fact that is true.
Yeah, it's second. Yeah, I said that in the video. It's like goal number 1 done.
Goal 1. I don't even really care if I finish this thing. I hope I get a medal at the end. However, and I think the second, but probably more important thing to point out, that it is Thursday, September 16th at 9:02 Central Time. And this actually sounded like a running channel for about 10 minutes. The first time in years.
It really did. That is literally the reason why I was like, well, I'm not turning on my video while they're being so serious. I was like, I'm not used to this. So I was like, I'm just going to sit here in creepers and sit in my black box of silence until an opening was made, and behold, Triceratops spin.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like,
in all its glory.
What the heck is going on my channel?
I was.
They're floored. Ruining the brand.
Lord, I had a burn that I was ready to come in with about a runner's high, but there was not an appropriate time.
No.
So kudos to you, Kunkel and Mayor, for making sure that they actually talk about running.
And I don't know. I think Justin really brought out the thoughts and feelings.
He really did.
I'm feeling emotional today. The convid is high out here in Abilene.
It's raging. We hadn't talked all week, and I thought maybe he just really I bring the whimsy out of him, so he was just a little too serious all week. Like, I don't know what was going on. He was a different person. And now Jared's eating something.
Sibling, the floor is yours. Please inspire us.
Well, the last time I felt a runner's high wasn't really that long ago. It was actually one of our most recent training runs where J. Crow and I was really trying to convince Jar Oxenspoon to run. And I was really getting into a groove. I was getting into rhythm, and all of a sudden I just hear the big footsteps stop behind me. And I yelled.
Big footsteps.
I was getting in a groove, and he was like, "I know, you were going too fast." And so I had to stop, and that was the end of my runner's high.
I thought
in the
just
middle
to
of
give
the run.
a slight insight for the viewers is on that particular day, Jez D and I, we really were feeling it. We just felt good. The weather was good.
Great.
And we had this anchor tied to us, and that anchor was Jar. And this was not that long ago.
It was ACU. It was a 7 mile, right?
A month ago?
I was on my own.
And a half?
We were pulling an anchor behind us, and that anchor was...
We were determined to get you to run more.
No.
And then you insisted on stopping to tell like a dumb story because you couldn't talk and run.
Yes. The only reason I'm telling you this is so we can walk was a quote from you.
That sounds like you probably felt a little bit of a runner's high then, Jared. Like you got the speedy people to stop. That probably made you a little happy, sparked a little joy.
Oh, and shortly thereafter, that was my other runner's high. I was running with MK and J. Crows and feeling good, just kept going. And then all of a sudden, J. Crows wanted to walk. It wasn't me, it was him. And I thought,
I have to comment on that. I think that we were trying to guilt Linz Reed and Jar on it because the three of us still got out there and did our miles. And I was struggling when we were running that day, but I was not going to be the first person to say, let's walk. Mm-hmm. And I was so relieved when J. Crow was like, yeah, let's walk.
I have no
You're welcome.
I need to walk.
No. He usually walks when no one is around. If nobody else can see him or hear him, then he'll walk. So it's a rarity. But my runner's highs depend on other people's failures, I guess. I don't know.
There we go. All right. I'm trying to piece together what qualities does a person need to have, or what aspects, because maybe we could create a manual for people on how to experience a runner's high, or a map of the Disney courses so that people this is what you have to do. Unfortunately, Everest is not an option. It was never an option for MK regardless. So
sounds like they just need somebody that can stack bodies that you can crawl over. That's a runner's high.
Pretty much. I mean, a goal is just to run dead last start and just see how many people I can pass.
You're not going to be that person. I like you too much.
No.
But it's kind of fun.
Dead last start. It looks appealing every year.
Every year.
I like y'all too much and you would pass me. But it's okay. I would still like you, but so I do have, can I ask a question? Is it appropriate? Can I ask a question?
Probably.
Floor's yours.
So I'm interested. So we have decided that runner's high is euphoria, right? After running. So euphoria meaning intense excitement, happiness, or just an intense feeling. Would we all agree with that?
Agreed.
What was your last runner's high? When was your last runner's high? Explain the experience. Because mine was being chased by a pack of geese. When you go by the euphoria experience, look, Jar is
a pack of what?
A pack of geese.
The birds?
We don't have geese in Texas.
Not California.
Some geese.
South, Caribbean.
as I said before, I don't think I've really experienced in the true definition of what it is, but Star Wars 2019, it was my first half marathon. I got emotional as I crossed the finish line because I realized what I had just done. Not only did I do my first 13.1 race, I also did the 10K the day before and the 5K the day before that. So I guess just the realization of the months and the miles leading up to that, and then doing well. I had a time goal, like J. Crow said. I went in wanting to do under 3 hours, and I did. And it was emotional for me. And then I quickly tried to clear myself up for PhotoPass and to take a picture with my medal. So I guess that was the last time I really remember that stuck in my mind.
For me, it's a tie between any of the finish lines and the stealthy challenge. Link above.
Why the stealthy challenge?
We got stealthy challenge puff paint shirt. Watching people receive those shirts with glee and or confusion or disdain in their eyes. I think that might have been a runner's high because I was a runner and it made me happy.
Kunkel,
but also any finish line.
You were actually in the dwarf costume.
If you're interested, shameless plug for my Slacker friends, if you are interested in receiving one of these Stealthy Challenge shirts, you can do give.oxenspoon.com.
We will puff paint a shirt just
right here, and they will puff paint a shirt for you.
Yes, Bill. Well, I've not forgotten your puff paint order. You'll get those in a little bit. Mr. Bill Stewart, everyone, will be joining us in January, I believe. Mm-hmm. So hope to see you there, Bill. Where did J. Crows go?
Maybe for a run.
Refill.
Refill, that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah.
He needed some.
Gotta go to his.
He was giving us a runner's bye. Well, I do remember, you do have emotional moments, and I think kind of what MK was saying, not my first half marathon, but probably my last long run before my first half marathon, when I went 14 miles because I needed to see myself do that distance before race day. And I remember getting to about mile 12, and I was an out and back, so I was coming back, and I knew the area well, and I knew what was left in front of me. And the music was just right, and I'm in that moment. I'm like, wow, I am really going to be able to do this. This is insane. But this is going to happen. And so, yeah, I know what you mean about that kind of emotional moment where it's like, wow, I never thought I'd get here.
What?
Not laughing at you, Uncle. I'm thinking about the answer.
What's your answer, Jarox?
I would also say the bacon, that would be the other one. My bacon nutrition stop at the Stealthy Challenge.
Thank you for accepting bacon.
By far the best aid station I've ever seen.
You're already laughing at yourself in your head.
Because really, when I'm running on a race, my actual runner's high, the best feeling I get is when someone compliments me on what I'm wearing. When they say, you're the best dressed guy we've seen all day, whether it's at Peachtree, whether it's at Princess or Cowtown, anything like that. When runners want to take a picture with me, there's my runner's high.
There it is. You found it.
Nothing to do with athletic performance at all.
No.
Just spark and joy.
I will say I was called selfish for putting so much emphasis on, y'all know I love costumes. Everybody on here knows I love costumes. I'll do a fake mustache at J. Crow's. If you're willing to shave your mustache, I'll teach you how to do a new one.
For $1,000.
$1,000.
925.
I teach you how to.
We're discounting it now?
No, there's 25 that was put in by me.
Okay.
But if you really miss that mustache, I'll teach you how to draw on a new one every day for work. But
you shouldn't see his face anyway.
Oh yeah.
You're Jez.
I really do. I really appreciate the costumes. I think that's where my runner's high comes from. And I think that's why I love Run Disney, right? I think that's why we all love Run Disney. I don't really love Run Disney for the running part. I really love costumes. And that might say something about me as an athlete now. but it's fine.
I mean, isn't part of it is looking the part. Like you look, dress for the job you want, dress for the kind of athletic performance you want. I'm known to, like, if I'm going to pick up a hobby, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to look like I'm doing it right. So
dress the part.
You're at Disney.
Cinderella's pumpkin?
Like, yeah, you're at Disney. You're going to look like you're at Disney, right?
Yes,
I'm just saying.
So I'm not trying to end the conversation, but I think we've hit a moment of reflection. And I think that moment of reflection is that whether it's Kunkel realizing pre-Run Disney races, like, my high is that I can go into this and do it, or whether it's Jar at the race saying, people recognize the effort I put into this, just like Meredith, or whether it's Jez D saying, I'm bringing my full Disney. It all means something different to us. That runner's high, right? So that runner's high for some of us might mean that I broke the time that I'm going to do. For some of us, it might be I actually did it. I got here and I did it. Or others, it might be not only did I did it and I looked freaking great the entire time while I did it. I think that is an important distinction about the Run Disney races from other races I've done. Now, Jar in particular has brought that to our local races. Like, Jar is always in costume, even at our local races, and people point him out, not so much for his performance, but for his attire, which we love about him. And I think that's an important distinction about this community and this thing that we do and that we spend a lot of effort and, frankly, a lot of money doing, is that we all have our different motivations for doing it, and we have our different peaks along the journey, whether it's pre, during, or even after. You ask my wife, why does Justin love Run Disney races? Slackers, do you know the answer that she repeats every single time that we're at Disney? Justin loves when every cast member sees his medal in the park and says, congratulations.
There you go. External validation, Justin.
That right there means more to me than anything, right? Mm-hmm. And she recognizes it and she sees that I value it. And so when I'm in the park and someone says, you ran a half marathon today as a cast member, and says, way to go. There it is, man. That was worth all of it right there. That was worth waking up early. That was hurt feet. That was hurt, right? Everything. So I think that's a cool thing about this community that we're involved with.
Can you make sure that your next Run Disney Instagram post says, I did this for the external validation?
It says a lot about you.
What if you go to 50's Primetime Cafe after a half marathon?
They don't externally validate.
MK
loves 50's Primetime Cafe.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone roll their eyes farther back.
I'm not going to go eat there with you guys. I'll sit outside.
I will say, though, one of my fondest Disney memories is when the waiter looked at Jar and I with our medals on, and he said, oh, you guys ran the race this morning? You think you guys are cool? And then just walked off. Huge
you have a Jiggly Dopey medal. Wait till you have a Jiggly Dopey medal.
Jiggly Dopey!
Dopey. I had one of those kind of magic moments doing the virtual marathon in January. And I saw other people, out running around. And I started at Art of Animation Pop and ran the course of the original 1/4 portion series races out there. I ran that for, 10, 13 miles. And then I paused my watch and got on the Skyliner and rode over to Caribbean Beach and got off and started running there and ran there for a while because why not? And then sure enough thought, all right, now it's time. I've got, 4 or 5 miles left. I'm going to hop back on, go over to Hollywood Studios and run from there to Epcot and back, do the Stealthy Challenge course. And as I got up to I was going to pause my watch as I was getting up to get to the line to get on the big hump one there at Caribbean Beach. And one of the cast members sees me, and I've got my hydration pack on, and I've got my shirt with my bib printed on it. And the cast member, like, way down the line says, whoa, we got a marathoner coming through. Y'all hang on just a second. And he like started shooting me through the line. Come on, get on quick. I was like, all right, all this stupidity is absolutely worth it right now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, where was he riding the Skyliner to, Jared? What
Beach. Beautiful.
I will say they would probably look at me and be like, "Oh, you just finished your marathon," and be like, "No, I'm on mile 6." This is
okay.
Point 2. I have 20 miles left to go.
Jay Crow, I want you to imagine a scenario though. What if it was someone who externally validated your medal, but also recognized you as one of the tens of viewers from this channel? What would happen?
So that's the payoff of the channel, right? So I distinctly to this day, I picture it right now, the moment when I was in line with Jar. I think we were at the original Rival run. I think it might have even been a Dark Side run. Was it Jar?
Rival run.
It was the original Rival run. And we were in line for the expo, and a viewer,
Mickey,
pointed us out. And I can remember what that felt like. And she thought that I would be taller in real life. Probably because when Jar is holding the camera from his wee Jar height, it looks like I'm a really tall person. So we had that moment. Felt great. I remember Jar and I talked about that the rest of the day. They recognized us from the channel. So it was either that. I think it was the same race weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jar, but we were running out of the start gate through that. You know how they normally let you through, and it's a parking lot area, so it's open. And an older gentleman blew past us and said, "Way to go, slackers." Do you remember that, Jar?
That was at the Dopey or wine.
Our first Dopey.
He turned around and said, "You slackers."
Thousands of people, and he recognized the Jar, probably not me, but he knew that we were the slackers. It's just it's a cool feeling. And it's the reason we know Bell 898. It's the reason we coach HJ. It's the reason we know all these people. Kunkel and Meredith are on the channel tonight because of this cool thing that we're involved with, and meeting these amazing people who, even though we have very limited interaction, that feel like friends. And I think that's such an important thing in 2021. And I credit Jar for putting the work in to put this channel together. The guy got married to an amazing woman, right?
That's me.
It's a cool thing. I don't want anyone to think that I'm just being overly dramatic about it, but we've got this really cool community that sprouted out of this event that we do on a routine basis. I'm proud of it. I'm happy to be a part of it. I feel like I have that through the fish community. I never thought I would find a similar community to be a part of. And it's amazing that as a teenager, I found this. And then as an adult, I found this. And it's just a cool thing. I feel like that this is something that we could probably do and grow until we're older adults. And I'm excited about that.
Until you have 20 viewers.
20 the viewers.
We could probably make 20 viewers after this video because it's been so inspirational.
Well, and it just made me think too that, like, if the 8 of you who are watching had any hesitation about coming up and saying hi at Wine and Dine or Dopey or any of the weekends. If you had any like reservations, like, should I bother J. Crow, director of the lake? Maybe he doesn't want to be mayor of the lake. Like, does J. Crow want to have his time interrupted? Does he just want to be anonymous, one of the people? The answer, 8 viewers, is no. Go say hi to J. Crow, because now I want a shirt that says I do this for the external validation. That's what it's about. Can we make that shirt?
Also, I do want to point out that many adults consider many of us, most of us on here, probably older adults already.
Thanks, Jazz. I would say not only as runners and participants has this channel been important. I think it's important to my parents, Marv and Dovey. I think Lynn's Reed's parents, it's important to them. I think that, yes. I mean, it has brought some type of connection at a time when connection is very difficult. And I think it came out at a very perfect time. And I am so grateful to know people like Alistair, right? Across the pond.
Alistair.
Right?
Yeah.
And to be able to bring that sense of community together in a time like this, when sense of community is very fractured, probably more fractured than in my entire life. I don't really even talk to people in my neighborhood, not because I don't want to, but because I don't feel safe to. Mm-hmm. And this has been able to bring a lot of people together. Kunkel, this probably won't even make the final cut, but your comments on Bones, my wife and I laughed about that for 15 minutes because it was one of the most expensive steakhouses I've ever been to.
And this is coming from Signature Dining people.
Correct.
So, yeah.
Yes. That was huge. And it made a connection between me and you.
Yeah.
Something simple like that.
Well, and I would say, as the guest and the newbie around, I think I found the channel a couple years when I signed up to do 2020 as my first marathon, and I was probably searching for Run Disney training, and somehow YouTube said, "I'll get you," and
found the opposite.
And I'm like, I know I shouldn't do any of this, but this is fun, and so sure enough, I watched some of the videos and the original Dopey training for slackers, and then I didn't fly down until the half marathon day. And so I had seen the video y'all had thrown up of going around the expo, because I'm like, all right, what garb have I got to get? And which of course was all sold out by the time I got there, but that's all right. But then, I told Jar, that my wife and I go on to California Grill, and I actually saw you guys sitting over there at California Grill. And if I had known what it would have meant to you, I would have come and eaten your appetizer. I mean, if I had it over again.
Amazing garlic bread that night, which we have not had since then.
It doesn't exist.
But I, of course, at the same time, in the whole Back to the Future, you don't want to mess with the past. If I had known that was also one of Lynn's and Jar's first dates, I don't want to go back and mess up, any of that paradigm, obviously.
True. But it's a date we didn't know it was a date. Yeah.
But no, I want to say that, I appreciate everything that you guys have done putting this together and just being hospitable and welcoming, and it certainly adds a lot to the experience.
I agree, Kunkel, and I will say I did ask the question, and it wasn't until you said all of that I would realize that I get the runner's high every Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, when I mean, literally every Sunday at about 11 Central Standard Time, I'm like, whew, ready for that next Ox and Spoon video to drop. And every Sunday at 12, when I'm usually still in the bed, I watch the Ox and Spoon video drop. And that's when I get that runner's high, because I do feel that sense of community, euphoria, happiness, joy. Add to carts. It just sparks so much joy. So thank you guys for building this beautiful community.
Well, now you see, viewers, why we invited Kunkel and Meredith to this episode.
Your checks are in the mail.
We do it for the external validation.
Yes, you do it for the external validation.
Yeah, some influencers, which we are, clearly will say, like, please respect my privacy. Don't friend me on Facebook. If I'm with my family, don't come talk to me. No, come talk to us. And if you're not a viewer regularly, just make us feel good and pretend you are. Say you've stumbled across this because you were looking for one of Kimberly's videos. Come say hi to us.
Yeah.
So...
It is fun. I mean, I had, whatever that little song is that Kimberly has at the beginning of her videos. There's another one. I don't know if you guys ever watch Run Run Rosie. Portland, she does Dopey training stuff too, and she's cute little videos. And she's got one of the cute little songs at the beginning of hers. And I wound up looking these up and finding them at some point and throwing them in my running playlist a long time ago for the heck of it. And forgot all about it. And then sure enough, today, both of them happened to hit on shuffle. And I heard Kimberly's little song come on, like, hey, I'm running with Mama. This is great.
I break out the harmonies to that song, which I can't remember right now.
Oh
yeah.
All the words.
It was meant to be. Okay.
Slinky Dog Dash.
We love you, Kimberly.
Kimberly, I can't wait to give you the biggest hug.
Is anyone else's hearts warmed? I feel warmed.
Did you all get a runner's high right now?
Oh.
I got the runner's high just from thinking about watching my favorite runners videos at Oxenspoon, at Bell 898.
You did text us a couple of weeks ago that you're like, I'm like seriously disappointed there's not an Oxenspoon video today.
Literally, I had COVID, and I'm like hacking up a storm, and all I could think was that Oxenspoon video is gonna drop at noon, and then it didn't, and I was like, well, this is how it is. I'm all about cracking, and there ain't even gonna be an Oxenspoon video that makes me laugh before I go.
That Jar Oxenspoon video drops.
That was pretty good.
That was actually very good, MK.
You didn't throw quite enough extra syllables in there, but you were pretty close.
That was really good.
I'm honored.
Viewers, it has been an amazing evening on the Symposium tonight. There was more emotion. There was more validation, not just self, but channel validation, and some good emotion tonight on the channel. I want to thank our viewers, first of all, for making the channel what it is. We don't do this without you. So as Linz Reed said earlier, come say hi to us if you see us. It makes our day. I want to thank Kunkel for being here, for being such a good dude and a funny guy and such a good contributor to the channel. Meredith, you've been a long time friend of the channel, and so we want to thank you for being here. I don't want to sign us off, so I feel like I'm going to kick it to Jar. He can either sign us off or kick us to someone else.
Well, I'm going to let our West Coast correspondent, Doris, sign us off. So thank you for joining us, everyone. And here's Doris.
Greetings, Slackers, from the Mission Bay Aloha 5K. We just did a live event here in beautiful Mission Bay, California. I'm drinking some Topo Chico in honor of the Slackers, and just wanted to remind you all to donate to Kelsey's Hope. So like, subscribe, and tell your mother about this. Mahalo.